Welcome to Morning Sit with revmelissa, Spirit and Practice. So this week we've been talking about spiritual partnership. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been so excited about this and who have been DMing me and reaching out to me to talk about their relationships with their significant others, and also more importantly, or just as important, their relationship with themselves. So spiritual partnership, let's just talk about the definition again, right? And the definition that I really love is Gary Zukav's definition that he uses in his book, Seat of the Soul, right? So he says spiritual partnership is a partnership between equals for the purpose of spiritual growth. That is the purpose of spiritual partnership. There's a commitment to each other's spiritual growth, right? And we said when we were talking about our sacred series last week, that sacredness is reverence. So having reverence for your relationship is important in a spiritual relationship. We talked about what is the intention of your relationship and having that conversation. I had a wonderful conversation with this young man yesterday about intention and what his intention is for his relationship, and that he had never even thought about having that conversation. And he is having that conversation with his significant other this weekend. So that's just wonderful. And I told him to let me know how that goes. So right, with our intention is important because our intention is what we're paying attention to. So you're putting your attention on your intention to keep present to what you are intending for your relationship, what you are co-creating in your relationship. So intention and attention go hand in hand. The feeling tone. What is the feeling tone of your relationship? Very important. What is it now? Like, do an assessment of what the feeling tone is in your relationship now. Can it use a little You need a little Have that conversation. You want a little in the feeling tone. Some enthusiasm, some excitement, some adventure, some joy. Do a reset. We are resetting our relationship today. And this is the feeling tone that we are co-creating with each other, right? We're not in numbness. We're not in just going to be going. We're not in, just the routine of it. You have to infuse some energy in your relationship. Or you just kind of like go on day by day and nothing's really happening. So what is the feeling tone? What is the feeling tone of your life? Every question that you would ask and every conversation you would have in your spiritual relationship conversations, those are conversations that you also have with yourself, because it's about your spiritual growth and it's about the spiritual growth of your relationship, right? Because you're co-creating an atmosphere. You can't co-create an atmosphere if your inner atmosphere ain't right. So you got to get your inner atmosphere right, because that is going to inform and it's going to energize your relationship with your significant other. So there is a commitment to doing the work, right? To your individual development, right? And we know that in spiritual partnership, we are in the present with each other. We're not living in the past. We are living in the present, and we're facing the future together. In some relationships, people are living in the past. They are having a relationship with the past and facing the past, right? So we are present with each other in spiritual relationship. Feeling your feelings. Feel your feelings. Take 100% responsibility for your feelings, right? So what does that mean? That there's no withholding, there's no withdrawing, there's no projection of our feelings onto the other person. So if you have a feeling, express it, right? Because you're expressing it in love, because you have co-created an atmosphere where love is present, right? And love is active, right? So a consciousness of love is present where you feel that you have created a safe space with each other, that you can share your feelings, your feelings, the feelings that you own, not feelings that someone is making you feel, because we said the other day, no one makes you feel anything. You are touching and getting in touch with your feelings. So I feel whatever it is that the feeling is, not you made me feel, because that's a projection. Okay? And so if you find yourself in a disagreement, right? And what did we say about disagreements? You can disagree, right? But there's unity in disagreement, not division in disagreement. So if you find yourself in disagreement and then you take a sacred pause and realize that you're projecting out your feelings, or you're withholding a feeling because that's what you are used to doing in relationships in the past, or that's what you did as a child because you didn't feel safe to express your feelings. Whatever those reasons may be present to it. Speak it, right? And in doing so, you're telling the microscopic truth. And what is the microscopic truth? The microscopic truth is speaking from a place of your internal experience, right? So no one can discount your internal experience, your truth. No one can discount that. In spiritual partnership, there is a commitment to spiritual growth between two equals. And when we talk about equals, we're talking about, am I in a relationship with someone who is vibrating at the same frequency that I'm vibrating in? Are we on the same level of consciousness together? You're going to have a very difficult time if you're in a relationship with someone who's in victim consciousness. That's not spiritual partnership. That's a lot of internal work. That's a lot of doing their work so that they can start to make those inner shifts with themselves. Okay. Another thing that I want to bring up today is the importance of keeping your agreements in relationship, keeping your agreements with yourself, right? Our mind, our mind is always creating, right? Consciousness creating. And our mind keeps a record of agreements. It also keeps a record of the agreements that are not kept. So if you made an agreement in your relationship, you're co-creating together, you make commitments, you make agreements, you're clear about your intention, you're clear about how you're going to engage with each other, and a agreement is not honored, don't act like it wasn't. Like, don't ignore it. Talk about it. Renegotiate those agreements. Acknowledge them. Because if you don't, they just kind of fester and you start keeping a running count of what he or she said she was going to do or agreed to do or be, and they didn't keep that agreement. Sometimes we fall short. We're all human. And when we do, it's our responsibility to speak why, to speak, let's renegotiate this agreement, to speak about why you didn't keep the agreement. But I wouldn't stay in that space for too long, right? You acknowledge it, forgiveness is present, and you renegotiate and recommit to those agreements that you make. Take the time to agree on what it is that you are agreeing to in your relationships. A lot of times people take it for granted that they're on the same page with the other person, and they are not. And it doesn't come into light until there's a disagreement, right? Or until there's some tone in the relationship that wasn't present before. So let's be clear about our agreements, right? It's about integrity, keeping your word in your relationship, and keeping your word to yourself, integrity and responsibility. So I want to read a little bit from Conscious Loving, one of the books that I talked about the other day. And the young man that I spoke to yesterday, he ordered Conscious Loving. So he is really into this. So I just highly encourage this book. Conscious Loving by Gay Hendricks and Kathleen Hendricks. So they talk a lot about co-commitment in relationships, a co-committed relationship, spiritual partnership, co-committed relationships, the same thing. Co-commitment is made possible when two people deal with their sense of responsibility and integrity. Being alive to the full range of your feelings, speaking the truth at the deepest level of which you are capable, and learning to keep agreements, all of these actions are required to master a co-committed relationship. When these three requirements are met, the real intimacy begins to unfold. A co-committed relationship may look like magic. It ain't magic, y'all. It's work. Okay. May look like magic, but it really is composed of tiny moments of choice. Tiny moments of choice. Choosing to tell the truth, noticing that you are projecting and finding the courage to take responsibility. Choosing to feel rather than go numb. Choosing to communicate about a broken agreement. Choosing to support your partner as he or she goes through deep feelings. Right? Those tiny moments of choice, we all recognize them when we're engaged with our partner and something comes up and we're in that moment of choice. And do we choose to speak our microscopic truth at that time? Or do we withdraw? Or do we withhold? Or do we project? So in a spiritual partnership, you create an atmosphere where spiritual growth is the intention for the relationship. So those moments of choice are those moments when you're choosing love. Always choosing love to the best of our ability, right? Okay. So we're going to practice those tiny moments of choice. Be aware of them. They're going to pop up. Be aware of those tiny moments of choice and choose love. So I want to just wrap this up and just share the resources that I've been talking from. So Conscious Loving is one book. One of my favorites, Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukav, a wonderful book. And Relationships, Love, Marriage, and Spirit by John Rogers, another wonderful book. So for those of you who are contemplating spiritual relationships or transforming your current relationship into a spiritual relationship, those are some of the resources that I would advise that you check out. Always, I am a resource, so you can reach out to me. You can DM me. I love working with couples, and I just love this spiritual partnership series. I hope it has been beneficial to you. I hope that it's given you some insight into yourself and into your relationship. I hope that you are co-creating and having those intentional conversations with each other. Okay, so enough is today's t-shirt, and I don't need to say anything more because enough is enough. And I just want to shout out Brown Boy Mad. It is an autobiographical play by Sekou Wrights, and he just released it. It's available on Instagram Live and on YouTube. You could just put in Brown Boy Mad, and you will find it. So please support that work. It's in total alignment with what continues to happen in this country, and it is a powerful piece. And right now, I'm feeling like enough is enough. Enough is enough. So whatever you can do, wherever you are, to put in to be in the consciousness where we are healing this separation is what we can do together, amongst other things. So, peace and blessings. God's protection around you, and enjoy.